Hi there, I'm Wendy McCallum, burnout and alcohol coach and wellness expert, and you're listening to Bite Size Balance, where everyday extraordinary women share their stories, expertise, and wisdom, all in the name of lifting each other up and creating a better life by design. Whether it's wellness, career, relationships, food, alcohol, mindfulness, hormones, or parenting, we talk about all things women's balance. If your life looks great on paper, but it still feels like something's missing, you're in the right place. Welcome to Bite Size Balance.
Hi, everyone. Just a quick podcast today. I'm going to do a solo podcast today. I have no guest. It's just me, your host, Wendy McCallum, talking about 3 easy ways to start slowing down. Now, slowing down is really the key to preventing burnout, and that's why I wanted to talk about it today. It's also the thing that women have the hardest time doing. So, I mean, honestly, if I had $10 for every woman who's come on to the first coaching session and said, I have absolutely no time for myself and I feel like I just rush through every single day and there's never a free moment to breathe, I would be much wealthier than I am. It is such a common thing for, busy women, working women, especially to feel. They just feel like there's absolutely no room in their day to not be busy. And the truth is, in order to prevent burnout or to recover from burnout, you have to figure out how to slow the fuck down. We need to figure out how to slow down, you guys. It's absolutely essential if you want to prevent burnout. And it's ridiculous, really, that we go through our lives with this feeling of just constant, there always being something on the to-do list to do. And if that's the way you're feeling, this podcast is a great place to start because I'm going to give you 3 really simple, practical ways to start the process of slowing down. So this isn't going to solve all of your problems, but as with everything that I coach about, I believe in this idea of stacking small changes on top of each other. I also 100% believe in the idea that all change matters no matter how small, and some is better than none. So what I want to do today is get you started with some really simple little changes. And I will do a follow-up podcast episode where I give you some more ideas for slowing down. But let's start with 3 today, with the idea of just taking a tiny load off and starting to experiment with what it feels like to actually not do something, to just have some downtime in your day and start building that into your day. And again, I'm not talking about hours and hours here, guys. I know that you're busy. I hear you when you say that. But what I am talking about is some short windows of downtime in your day that might add up to a total of a half an hour, you guys. Okay. So let's start with the first way to start slowing down, AKA to start preventing burnout or to recover from it if you feel like you're already there. The first little tip I have for you is to think about what it would be like if you had a few minutes to yourself in the morning. So if you're somebody who wakes up with everyone else or after other people in your household are awake, this is one of my best tips. It is, for many women, a complete game changer to start getting up 15 minutes before everybody else gets up. I have every morning, more than that, actually. I usually get up about a half an hour before everybody gets up. So I usually have between 20 and 30 minutes to myself before anyone else is downstairs. I don't even go see my dogs, and I love my dogs. I let them sleep. I come downstairs, it's dark. I make myself a cup of coffee, decaf, of course, because #menopause. I make myself a cup of coffee. I usually sit in the dark. So I don't turn any lights on. I have a really comfortable chair that I sit in. I sit in the dark and I hold my coffee, and I'm somebody who feels relaxed instantly as soon as I touch something warm or hot. I love heat. So for me, the holding of the coffee cup in my 2 hands is actually kind of a bit of a ritual and extremely relaxing for me. I feel the heat of the coffee cup in the palms of my hands, and it just calms me right down. And then I sit in the dark and I take my time and I drink that cup of coffee. I do not get on social media. I do not check emails. I don't pick up technology at all. The only thing I have to do when I get up first thing in the morning is I have to book my gym appointment, because it's one of those gyms where you've got to like book it in advance and everybody's on there trying to book at the same time. So there's one little tech thing that I have to do first thing in the morning, which is get on the app for the gym and book the class so that I don't miss it. But then I put my phone away and I sit quietly with my cup of coffee. Now, sometimes I'll meditate at the same time. So sometimes I will, and I've done a separate podcast on meditation. If you haven't listened to that one and you're curious about meditation, go back and find that in the archives, and that will give you just the basics of a very simple beginner's practice around meditation / mindfulness. So sometimes I will do like a bit of a more deliberate mindfulness exercise when I'm drinking my coffee, where I will put a soundtrack on through the meditation app that I use, which is the Calm app. And I will listen to, usually it's the waves crashing on a beach. And I will visualize myself on a beach with a cup of coffee. Usually it's the beach that I have been to with my sister a couple times that I absolutely love. And I will just imagine myself on that beach before anybody else gets there with my cup of coffee as the sun is rising, closing my eyes, listening to the morning birds and the waves on the beach. And I will do that for 5 to 10 minutes while I drink that cup of coffee. Sometimes I don't do that. Sometimes I just drink the cup of coffee in the quiet. But for me, that is a really nice way to start my day off slow instead of start my day off in a rush. And then, of course, my husband gets up and the dogs get up and everyone's running around and all the lights turn on. And then, I start my day. But I have that moment of quiet before my day starts. Now, people will use this time for different things. For many of my clients, this is the time when they do a little bit of journaling, and they might also do some gratitude in the morning. I think that's great. Again, as you've heard me say in other podcasts, it's always a great idea to put the things in your day that you're struggling to do regularly, put them in the morning. So get them almost scheduled into your routine in the morning hours, because they're far more likely to happen if you get them out of the way first thing. And that is a combination of, just our lives being busy, but also the fact that we have the most willpower that we will have all day long when we wake up in the morning. So use that to your advantage and do the hard stuff first. So if you're trying to establish a new practice around gratitude or meditation or journaling, for example, this 15 minutes of quiet time in the morning before everybody gets up might be the perfect time to do that for all of those reasons. So that's my first tip for how to start slowing down. Consider what might be available to you and how it might feel to be up just 15 minutes before everybody else is in your household. And I get it. Probably a lot of you guys struggle with sleep like I struggle with sleep. But I'll tell you, even though I struggle with sleep, I will not trade in this 15 minutes of quiet time for 15 more minutes in bed. I just won't, because this to me is almost more beneficial than 15 minutes of sleep might be. It's such a key piece to setting me up for a great day, to start my days this way. Okay, the second little tip that I have around slowing down involves lunchtime. Now, you may be working from home right now because we're still in the middle of this pandemic. Maybe you're working from an office. Either way, this little tip applies. And the tip is to start eating somewhere other than your desk, and to actually sit down somewhere and almost like set a place setting for yourself. So what I'm talking about is eating lunch without distractions at a place that is not your workstation. So if you are at an office, that might be a lunchroom. If there's a lunchroom, go there. Start eating your lunch there. Even better, if the weather's nice, go outside, sit on a park bench and eat outside. If you're working from home still, like I am always, I've always worked from home. I have a separate office space that is adjacent to my house. But what I will do at lunchtime is I will go inside. I will actually get a plate. I will make lunch or a bowl, depending on what I'm eating, and I will sit at the kitchen table without my phone, without my laptop, without anything. I will sit and I will eat my lunch. And it takes about 10 to 15 minutes, but that is quiet, slow time for me. Not only is that great because you're taking a mental break during the day where you get to just be present in the moment. I try to be very mindful when I'm eating, pay attention to the food that I'm eating, how it tastes, the pleasure that's coming from it, also chewing my food appropriately so that I can digest it better. I do all of those things while I'm sitting without any distractions and eating my lunch at a place that is not my desk. And for me, that's become a really important piece of routine for me. It helps me feel less like my days are just rushed from beginning to end. So this is another little strategy that you can use. And again, if you're at the office, there's a way to do that there too. You just need to shift away from your workstation space. If you can't leave your desk, so if there is nowhere else to eat and the weather's terrible and there's nowhere to go, then at the very least, turn off all your devices. So turn off your computer and turn off your phone while you sit and eat. This is really important, not only for the mental break piece of it, but to help improve digestion. So one of the things we know is that when we're stressed out, and I've talked about this in other podcasts, when we are in that fight or flight response where we're feeling stressed and our cortisol and our adrenaline are up, what's happening in that situation is our body is diverting all of our energy towards dealing with the stressful thing. So our body is amping us up to deal with whatever the thing is that's going on that's causing us the anxiety or stress. And at the same time as our body is doing that, it is shutting down the systems that it perceives to be non-essential to deal with the stress. And one of the systems that always gets compromised or shut down is digestion. So it is completely counterproductive for us to be trying to eat while we are stressed out and rushing around. So, shoving a sandwich in your mouth between meetings as you run from one building to another, or in the taxi, between appointments, is just not helpful. There's a pretty good chance your digestion's not working at the level that it could be working at because you are in fight or flight. You're just rushing and stressed. Taking a second to calm yourself down, take yourself out of the stressful workspace into a new calmer environment, whether again, that's the lunchroom or it's your kitchen table or it's, your porch or a bench outside, is going to help to pull you out of fight or flight and into the relaxation response. And when we move into the relaxation response, not only does our cortisol come down, but those systems that our body has perceived to be less essential during the time of stress are turned back on, including our digestion. So you have a far greater chance of actually breaking down and digesting that food in the way that you're designed to do. Now, of course, digestion is, proper digestion is important when it comes to how you feel, because when you're not digesting food properly, that can lead to all kinds of, discomfort, including bloating and gas and stomach pain and all of that. But what I'm really concerned with when people aren't digesting properly is the fact that there's a risk that they're not absorbing the nutrients from the food properly either in that digestive process. So what is the point in making yourself, a beautiful kale salad with, grilled chicken breast and a homemade salad dressing and all the rest for lunch, and then eating it in a really rushed, frantic state if you're not actually going to be able to break down and absorb all of the good stuff in that meal that you made for yourself. So take some time for yourself when it comes to eating your lunch. This is my second tip for how to start slowing down. The third little tip that I have for you is if you feel like it's too much to be taking 15 minutes in the morning, let's say, or 15 minutes at some point during your day to do meditation, if that just feels impossible to you right now, start focusing on what I call mindful moments. So try for 3 a day. That's 3 minutes a day, you guys. Just make these moments 1 minute minimum each. They can be longer, but if they're 1 minute at minimum, they're going to bring you some real benefit. And the idea behind a mindful moment is that you just stop for a minute and you get mindful. And that can look like a million different things, you guys. You can just close your eyes and do some nice, deep, slow breaths for a minute. You can pop on one of those meditation apps that I'm always talking about, whether it's Calm or Headspace or 10% Happier, and you can listen to a short meditation or a really calming soundtrack for 1 minute. If you are somewhere where you can see outside, you can just look outside and focus on the movement of the trees outside your window for 1 minute. If you are, if you're in a busy meeting, for example, let's say you're just busy all day, you've just got meetings all day and you want to take a mindful minute, you can literally just focus in on your breath and pay attention to your breath coming in and out of your body. That can provide you with a real feeling of kind of relaxation. There's a great little tool called Do Nothing for 2 minutes.com. And I think it's by the makers of the Calm app. And it's just a little screensaver that pops up and you listen. It plays the sound of waves on the beach. And as soon as you log on to that website, it starts an automatic timer at 2 minutes and it starts counting down. And the goal is to not touch your keyboard for 2 minutes and just focus in on the sound of the waves on the beach. If you touch your keyboard, the counter resets to 2 minutes. So it's a tool for busy people who are at their computers all day long who want to start taking some mindful moments. So again, the last little tip that I have for kind of slowing down is to start thinking about incorporating a few mindful moments into your day instead of, getting overwhelmed with the idea of having to carve out 15 minutes or half an hour or whatever to do some kind of directed mindfulness or meditation. A few mindful moments can go a long way. And if you're thinking to yourself, I'm never going to do that because I'll forget, or you try it for a few days and you find that you drop it after a couple days because you're not thinking about it enough, set a reminder on your phone. Set a reminder to go maybe right before you have lunch. That's a great time for a mindful moment because again, what you want to do is you want to pull yourself out of fight or flight, the stress of the morning, and into the relaxation response before you start eating your food so that you have a great chance of actually digesting that food in kind of an optimal way. So you could set your alarm to go right before lunchtime to do a mindful moment, maybe one in the middle of the afternoon if you find your afternoons long, and maybe one when you wake up first thing in the morning or one before you go to bed, whatever. Mindful moments are a really great tool to kind of start introducing mindfulness into your life when you feel like you're just way too busy to make more than that happen. So to recap, in order to prevent burnout, we need to slow the hell down. And we are all going like a mile a minute. The women that I work with, busy professionals and executives that I do burnout coaching around, their number one problem is that they are rushing their way through their day all day. It feels like there's absolutely no time for them. And I suspect that many of you feel the same way. So if that is you, the goal needs to be, how do I slow this thing down? Because we are only here for this one lifetime, as far as I know. And all of the good stuff happens when we're actually present in the moment that we're in so that we can see it. I've talked about this so many times before. All of those joyful moments, you have to be here to see them, guys. If you are rushing, and you're already on to the next thing in your mind, you're going to miss all of the really cool, joyful stuff and the connection that's happening all around you. So slowing down is it's the absolute key to recovering from burnout or preventing burnout from happening. I've got 3 simple tips for how to do that. I just gave them to you. The first one is wake up 15 minutes earlier and max that 15 minutes out. Make that your time to just chill out and be present and just really enjoy the opening of your day. The second one is to start eating lunch without distractions. 15 minutes is all you need. Take yourself away from wherever you work, sit somewhere else, make it pleasant, turn off your tech, maybe do a few deep breaths or some kind of little mindful moment before you start eating. That will increase the likelihood that you're going to digest your food well and absorb what you need from it. And then if all else fails, just start focusing in on mindful moments, 3 minutes a day minimum. You can split that up over the course of the day and you can set reminders for yourself just to make it more likely that is actually going to happen. So those are the quick tips from the coach today on how to start slowing down. And again, I will follow up on this. There's going to be lots more conversation about burnout on this podcast. That's the main thing that I focus in on, burnout and unhealthy coping mechanisms, including alcohol. And so this felt like a good little intro podcast today. Hope you enjoyed it. And I would love to hear your favorite ways to slow down. If you have some tools that you use regularly to help you to just kind of press pause on the day and take a minute to yourself, I would love to hear what those are. Please feel free to send me an email at wendy@wendymccallum.com or send me a DM through any of my social media channels. Thanks for listening today. See you next time.
You've been listening to Bite Size Balance with your host, Wendy McCallum. As a burnout and balance coach, I help busy high achievers like you create a more balanced, joyful life. If you've been putting yourself last for way too long and are worried that you're burning out, grab your free burnout checklist at www.wendymccallum.com www.wendymccallum.com/checklist. That's www.wendymccallum.com/checklist.